Kabbalah Decoded. Understand the nature of the universe, find inner wisdom, gain spiritual transcendence, revealing the messages of the ancient mystics, more like classical and medieval, but close enough, right? But it's being honest. It's being honest and not saying, oh, it's older than Moses and at least goes back to Abraham. Maybe it's older than that. And, well, Kabbalah kind of connects before that, after that, just like the Aramea, our biblical Hebrew Tanakh, the law, the prophets, the writings, relates to mythologies before that too, compiling them in a certain way. Now, by the time you had Judaism, there was a whole series of different Judaisms, and some of it was closed off to women, closed off to, maybe the poor, at least the people who aren't learned enough or haven't had their piety accepted by the rabbis and Cohens that may have this information. Because remember, technically, Judaism was invented by the rabbis and the Cohens. But Kabbalah itself really can't be said to be pre-3rd century, and this book admits it. That's and it admits that most of what is referred to by Kabbalah isn't really something that could be said to be before the Sufis. So it's honest about its origins, but it's a nice coffee table book that reminds us of how we used to be taught as children. Physical stuff, asking questions of us. We're invited to ask our own questions. We're analyzing from all sorts of different angles and that sort of thing, trying to refer to all of existence. If I said Sunday school, trying to relate the mythology to how you're supposed to act in the rest of life. Now, some paths of Kabbalah were, super analytic and all that. Some were about, about feeling, and others were about piety. And this book kind of goes into that. We relate our physical body to the spiritual concepts, to the spiritual worlds. Now, the letters of about 2,000 years ago is sort of what they narrowed on. Originally, you could say there was maybe 30 letters of the Aramea alphabet. But over time, it winnowed down to 22. And now we now we have Hebrew, which is sort of a different language. But we have concepts that are related to each of the letters. Not just number values, but meanings of the letters themselves, where they form paths. The tree of life paths actually kind of differ per tradition. You can relate, well, how does Kabbalah compare to Zen and other paths? Well, and it brings up references to scripture that I was sort of unfamiliar with. I do know about the passage in Isaiah that has the 4 realms. But and not all the sources are what you could say are biblical. Some of them are scholarly. And it's a continuing tradition of direction, which is what Kabbalah means.